right before I go live. I don't know why. I get nervous. Not sure why I do that, but because I've gone live enough to not be nervous anymore. However, I still be nervous. Okay? I be shaking, be like, is what I'm gonna say be the right thing to say? You know? But I think that's one reason why I try to give the Most High all of his glory and honor in the beginning, so that I at least have some guidance as far as, what I want to talk about. Just acknowledging him. Thank you, Lord, for waking us up this morning, giving us another chance today to be better today than we were yesterday, you know? And that's my goal and purpose, is always to just be better. I just want to be better. I know that I can't make drastic changes in one day. What up, Skinny? Can't make drastic changes in a day, but just one drop in the bucket every single day of doing something different, doing something better, will get me to the finish line eventually. We are humans, and so everything is not going to be perfect the first time, but if we continue at it, we can get close to perfection, and that really should be the goal, is just to be better and to try our best to be more like our Lord and Savior. So, with that being said, my son missed his bus this morning. Now, I live in a townhome, and the bus literally picks him up right in front of our house. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's our door, here's the stoop, here's the sidewalk, there's a big patch of grass, another sidewalk, and then street. So literally, he only has to walk like 15 feet to get to the bus. So I'm upstairs being lazy now. I'm gonna blame myself partially, because normally I'm downstairs getting them breakfast and all that, and I'm looking at the clock and listening to the people outside. So I know. What up, TMTI? I was terrified to miss the bus. If you know, and listen, now he gonna be terrified to miss that bus, because I got in that today. Ooh, I did. Boy, oh boy. So I'm upstairs rolling back over, and I just happened to look at I said, it's 8 o'clock. His bus is supposed to leave at 8:49, but for the last 2 weeks, they have been severely late. So I know my son was banking on that. But today was the day they decided they wanted to be semi on time. So it's 8 o'clock, and I was like, Bishop. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, the bus hasn't come yet? I said, get outside. He said, okay. He opens up the door, but I don't hear the door shut. I said, Bishop. Yeah? Did you miss the bus? What up, Guitar Krilly? He said, yeah. I shook my head, because I'm like, now that means I got to take him to school, and I got to try to get him there before. I ain't brushed my teeth. I'm still in my pajamas. I'm just chilling. I ain't got my coffee. Ain't smoked yet. So I get up, and I'm fussing. And he hears me from the time I got out the bed to the time I dropped his black behind off in front of the school. He got it. He bet not miss that bus again. I said, listen, you're 11 years old at this point in time. But I made him give me a kiss. You called the cops on me for what? What'd I do? You don't call CPS on me? I ain't put my hands on him now. I ain't put my hands on him. I didn't. I ain't put my hands on the boy. I wanted to, though. But I didn't. But he has a creed that he has to say every morning. An affirmation that he says every morning to affirm who he is. That way he has knowledge of self. He knows who he is. And he walks in that every day. Before he goes to school and before he does any major event, we have him do that creed. So I made him do his creed. And I said, now give me a kiss. And I want a juicy one too. Mind you, he in the back mad. I'm like, how you mad because you messed up? You the one that messed up and missed your bus. How you mad at me because I'm mad because you did something that you weren't supposed to do? How'd that work? So, hold on, y'all. So, I said I want a kiss. And I want a juicy one, too. Now, have a good day with your bad ass. That's right. Black History Month. Them. Right? So anyways, I could not sleep last night for nothing. And my mind was just going a mile a minute. And the thing that I pondered on was patience. And that's what this live is titled. Patience, dear. Just have patience, right? Some of you may know that patience is one of the fruits of the spirits, right? The first one is love. And you got to have love in order to have all of the ones that follow that, you know, kindness, gentleness, long-suffering, patience, you know. These are all the things that God commanded us to have while we're living here on earth, because people and situations, people, places, and things will make it real easy for you to not use those fruits of the spirits, right? Things happen and it's too easy. You know, somebody pisses you off, you want to be spiteful. Somebody pisses you off, you want to cuss them out, you know, whatever. And so, you know, when my son comes home, I might apologize for going off, but I doubt it, because if I apologize, then that's going to send a signal that what he did was okay. So, you know, I think I was well within my right to go off on him. Now, I did have to apologize to him last week because he used my bathroom because he was in my room for whatever reason. And I was like, did you wash your hands? And he said, yeah. So I get up, I go in the bathroom, and the sink is bone dry. And I was like, I went to his room and I said, you did not wash your hands because that sink is dry. I said, let me smell your hands. Didn't smell like soap or nothing, right? So I'm going off on him, and I was like, you know I don't like liars, you know, right? And he's like, but I did, right? And he was so adamant. And that made me think, well, dang, he's really adamant this time. Maybe he did, but so anyways, I used the bathroom after him. Thanks for deleting that. I didn't get a chance to read it, so thank you, Skinny. So I washed my hands and everything, and I said, I'm gonna check in 20 minutes to see if that sink is dry, and that'll tell me. Y'all, I went back in there. That sink was dry. I don't know what material that is, but there was nothing there. No remnants to show that I had washed my hands 20 minutes before. And by that time, I had already gone downstairs, did something. Now, mind you, he was already cleaning his bathroom and stuff like that. So I went like this. I was like, my hands don't smell like the soap. What up, my holy king? And I put my head down and I was like, Lord, forgive me. You know, because once you lie to me, it's like I have this thing to where I just don't trust you no more, right? Dry like the desert, right? And so sometimes I question my son, and I just did not believe him. So once I was proven to be a fool, I had to apologize. And I said, son, come here. He's like, yes, mother. He comes down the stairs, and I said, I'm so sorry, I didn't believe you. I said, I washed my hands, and then I came back. What up, Cam? Killer Cam. Blessings to you, too. And I got to keep my car running because I'm in a parking lot. And there's this random guy talking to him. So, just in case I got to move. You know what I'm saying? Just in case I got to pull a jack move. What up, Justin Valdez? Why you spamming the chat, bruh? I said, son, I'm so sorry. Thanks, Cam. I appreciate you. I like them too. But they hurt. And I realize this is why I don't get cornrows, because it literally hurts. And I got to stop doing this to myself. You know, beauty is pain. I went out to a comedy show last weekend, and I'd ordered these shoes on Amazon that were so freaking cute. Those shoes hurt like I don't know what. And I'm like, you know what? The things that us women do just to feel pretty is quite ridiculous. And I'm over it. I gotta just start accepting me for me, you know? So I said, son, I am so sorry. I washed my hands, and, you know, and he was like, it's okay, Mom. I understand how you don't like liars. And I said, but you was telling the truth, and I didn't believe you, and that's wrong. I said, I got to do better at discerning when you're telling the truth versus when you're lying. And that wasn't cool, because I went smooth off. I mean, I went off on that boy. So much so that I felt the need to apologize. And so I said, you know, I got to do better at discerning when you're being honest and when you're not being honest. So I apologize, you know. And he rushed it out. He was like, I really didn't forgot about it. And I was like, dang, you love me that much, kid, you know. So I'm just really grateful for him and his grace that he had on me. I haven't had braids since middle school. I don't miss the pain. I know that's right. Every Saturday, my mama braided our hair, washed, conditioned, and braided our hair. Every Saturday while my stepfather watched boring baseball. And she got Sade playing in the background. Well, I didn't know they was going to be uncomfortable, my holy king. They looked cute. They were platform. They were clear on the top. They were so cute. But by the time I left that comedy show and had to walk all the way back to my car, somebody else had to hold them shoes while I walked barefoot. Okay? And my son, he saw him when I picked him up the next day from his babysitter. He said, what are those? I was like, shoes. You ain't ever seen shoes before? Not like that. He said, those look ridiculous. Then he tried to put his foot in one. And I said, boys don't wear those shoes, son. But I said, go ahead and see what it... He said, this is stupid. He said, why would you want to wear? I said, because they're cute. And I like them. Yes, you can. For sure. For sure, for sure. What up, Gary Brown? How you doing? Bishop be telling the truth, boy. He is a truth teller. I don't like it, though. I got the whole manosphere in my house. I'm like, I ain't got to worry about no red pill content because I got Bishop every day telling me something. And I'll be like, what is really going on? But yeah, I had to. But I was thinking about patience also because you're welcome. Thank you for being a mod. I mean, you the one doing the work. You ain't got to thank me for the... thank you. Thank y'all for modding, okay? Because sometimes it be some crazy stuff going on. Now, mind you, when people want to tell jokes, they can stay in the chat. If people want to be stupid, they can stay in there. The only thing I don't tolerate that I want y'all to block is anything racist about anybody. Racism and misogyny. Anything like crazy, not you voicing your opinion or giving your perspective about things from a man's point of view, but if it's something degrading towards women. Anything degrading towards women or degrading towards me or anything that is racist, block them, kick them out, whatever, right? What up, Lee Turner? How you doing? So anyways, y'all, I started reading the Bible from beginning to end. That's my goal this year, is to finish the Bible this year from beginning to end. I attempted one time with my son. That didn't go too well because we were reading his children's Bible. And then, of course, my son is very inquisitive, so he had questions to fill in the gaps because the children's book would have like maybe 5 pages. And I love this book. I have to show it to you guys one day, but it is a beautifully written book. It's got black characters in it. The art is just immaculate and the way they tell the stories is great, but it's a kid's version. So it's like 5 pages of like major events in the Bible, like Adam and Eve, Abraham and Sarah, Cain and Abel, you know, things like that. It doesn't touch on the nuances of things. And because my son is very inquisitive, like I said, he asked questions. So then we would have to go to my Bible and kind of read in between and so that he can get the full context of certain things. And so we tried to read from beginning to end based on that, but because this children's Bible has you kind of jumping, a lot skips, so we never got to do that. But I decided this year I want to read the Bible from beginning to end. Hey, what up, OG Kicks? What up, Sound Income Studios? Yeah, it's a kid's version, and it was pretty accurate. And even in the back, it had a index that would tell you where to go in the Bible to read, and it would even tell you, you know, this is from Genesis 1 through da. So the kids' Bible was pretty accurate because I would go back to my actual Bible and it would line up with what was in there, right? Oh, thanks, Cam. Yeah, I do write children's books. I would like to write my next installment, which is Jack and the Beanstalk, right? My books are just fairy tales with a twist. I am not that creative to where I'm original yet, but I will be. I would like to sell enough books of the ones that I've already written in order to be able to pay an illustrator for this third installment, but I haven't made that much money off of these books. I've probably made $200 or so, right? But I'm not good at advertising and marketing, so there's that. But I appreciate you, Cam. One chapter at a time, both Old and New Testament is my suggestion. Okay, GB, I got you. Look at 18. Blessings to you. They are available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And if you just look up Mo Geeston, my last name, Gueston, you can say Gaston or Geeston. But type in Mo, M-O, and then Gaston, and my books will pop up. Or you can type in A Relatable Read. That is my goal, to have a publishing house called A Relatable Read. I want to add my journals to them and all that stuff, and it'll be all under A Relatable Read. So that is my book imprint, is A Relatable Read. So there, it's fairy tales with the twist. Yes, A Relatable Read. Boom. Just like that. Just like that. Thank you, Cam. How are you doing on writing yours, sir? You did say that you were going to get back to writing. And I did say every once in a while I would ask you. What up, Go Cree Cree? Hey, 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 hey. That I was going to ask you every so often, how are we doing on that? Just to help you to stay on track and to give you some inspiration. So anyways, decided a few weeks ago that I would read the Bible, and I was told that if you read 3 chapters a day, you can get through it in a year, right? So at this particular point in time, I am in Exodus, okay? And I just got to Exodus 40. And let me tell you something, y'all. Exodus 34 through 40 is a snooze fest. I ain't even gonna hold you. Because in these chapters, God is telling Moses how he wants him to build the tabernacle where they have settled, the Israelites have settled. Remember, Moses is the one that led the Israelites out of bondage and slavery in Egypt, and now they are making their way to the promised land, and they have settled in they're not in Canaan. Are they in Canaan? I can't remember. Help me out, y'all Bible scholars. But they're settled in this place, and God wants them to build. What up, CDT? Pana. That's my partner. They have settled in this place, and meanwhile, they griping and complaining about everything under the sun. But they've settled in this place, and at this point in time, they seem to be okay. They seem to be content right now, okay? No, Moses doesn't get to Canaan. Oh, he doesn't. Okay, where are they at then when in Exodus, when God wants them to build a tabernacle? I can't remember. But at this point in time, God is telling them that I will help you to defeat the Jebusites, the Hittites, and the Canaanites, and the Jehovites, I think, and somebody else. So anyways, God wants them to build this tabernacle, right? Hey, Riaz, how you doing? And so God is speaking to Moses. Moses goes up on the hill. God is talking to him. God is telling him, you cannot see me. If anybody sees my face, they will surely die, right? So God covers Moses as he passes over these rocks, and Moses is allowed to see the back of him. And as I'm reading this, I'm just imagining, oh my God, if I could just see any part of God. Because if you notice throughout the Bible, they don't describe God. God is just God. They don't describe him as a he, a she, nothing like that. But we know that we are made in his image, right? In his likeness. And not just his likeness of physical, but also in his likeness of character, right? This is where the fruits of the spirits come in at, right? So again, we're talking about patience. They just got past Mount Sinai. Thank you. So God is telling Moses how he wants him to build this. Thank you, Strawberry Toka. How he wants them to build this tabernacle and what he wants the Israelites to do. And God is very descriptive, right? God is God, not to be seen, but he is everywhere. He's ever present, right? And he resides here and here and here, right? Love God with all your mind, body, and spirit. Mind, body, and soul, right? Because he's everywhere all the time. So he's giving him these descriptions. I want these curtains to look this way, and you're going to use ram skin and this fur, and you need gold, and the basis is going to be bronze, and the silver is going to latch it, and you're going to have 5 pieces of this 40 feet by 9 feet and woven together. And I want Aaron, who is basically Moses' sidekick, and his sons to have these ephods. And I didn't know what ephod was, so I had to go online and be like, what is the ephod? And basically it looks like an apron, right? But he's giving him detail as far as how he wants the tabernacle to look, the lampstands, what they got to be made of, how there's to be woven, all of the clasps, all of this stuff, how the ephod is to be, all of the different gems, what each gem represents is the 12 tribes of Judah, each different stones on the ephod, on top of this part, pouch here, lined with gold here, and detail, right? So it's literally like 5 chapters or 5 paragraphs of how he wants him to describe it, or how he describes it to Moses, right? So you can just imagine Moses writing down or chiseling this. I don't know how he remembered this, but he did, okay? So Moses is done with God. He comes back down. Do you know in the next chapter, Moses reiterates everything that God said? I'm thinking Moses in the Bible is just going to say, God told me this, and Moses told the people. No. Moses repeated everything that God told him to tell the people. And I said, oh my goodness. And one night I fell asleep. So I just marked my little Bible and I said, I'm going to have to come back to this. Now, I don't know how you guys are, but when I'm reading books, just fiction or whatever, I'm not a detail-oriented kind of person, right? Unless I'm getting paid to be detail-oriented. But when I'm reading the book, I don't care about how dark it is, the time of night, the wind hitting the leaves and the birds. I don't need all that detail. Give me the meat. At this point, I'm like, yo, I want to get back to the drama. I want to get back to somebody backstabbing somebody done let the cattle out, and now that person got to pay with their life. Somebody done slept with somebody's wife. Somebody can't get pregnant. The Israelites are complaining again, and God said, I'm tired of you. I want the drama. I don't want to hear about the details of this tabernacle and these ephod and Moses and Aaron and his sons. So Moses reiterates again everything that God said, word for word. And I said, there has to be a reason why this is here. Lord, I trust you. So, and before I finished, give me the, exactly. I don't want the fluff. Give me the good stuff, right? But I said, there has to be a reason why this is reiterated. And so what I did was, this is a teaching Bible. This is a recovery Bible, right? Because I'm in recovery. If you guys don't know, I am an alcoholic, right? And so at the bottom, there's these paragraphs that kind of break down. And I said, what are these people saying about this? Because there can't be nothing. What is to it, right? But basically what it said was, truth, the excitement. Yeah. What it said was, the premise of it was patience, right? That was the whole premise. Is that we, the people that God have created, God has a program, right? And we gotta have patience and trust that going through all this, there's something at the end. But you have to have patience in order to get to whatever God's will is. We are on God's program. He's not on ours, right? So we don't know how long there's times where Moses has been up there talking to God and the people at the bottom didn't know what to do, right? But we have to have patience. And I said, thank you, Lord. I needed to hear that. I needed to read that. I have to have patience because there's a reason why. And then I thought about the military and how certain things are indoctrinated into us, and you have to hear it and say it every day. And then you just get to a point where it's like, well, I know it's going to happen. I know they're going to say this. So you just deal with it because it is what it is. But hearing it over and over and over again, it sits in your mind, and then you end up enveloping it, and it becomes a way of life, right? So it's the patience that you have to know that God is going to work in your life. There's a reason for everything. There's a reason for everything. And there was a reason why I had to know to just have patience and to just read. What up, BGP? Patience leads to faith. I like that. Right? So I said, okay. So what I had to do, I had to pray. I said, Lord, give me the patience to get through these chapters. Because I honestly, I was like, I'm going to just skip all this and just move on to 40 where it said the tabernacle is done. Because not only did it break down what God wanted to Moses broke down to the people, all paragraphs. And then the next chapter was showing exactly what they did, which is exactly what God told Moses and what Moses then told the people. And I said, oh, see now. Okay, see now. But I read it all and it was the same thing. But what I found interesting was that there was a part where God had told Moses, hey, tell the people I want them to bring all of the women, all of the silver and all of their gold. And any family that has bronze, bring as much as they are willing to bring, right? He didn't say bring me all. He said give what you are willing to bring. And the text said that some did and some didn't. And I thought that was interesting. I said, wow, there were people that actually did not. And it doesn't say how God dealt with those people, but I'm sure God dealt with them. But God also wants us to be giving. He wants us to give with our hearts. And if you're not going to give it out of your heart, he don't want it. He don't want it. So keep that little 10%. Keep that little whatever. Keep your little, it's okay. It's okay. So the point is, enough people brought, tons of, and literally tons. It was like 2,900 pounds of silver, 52 maybe, and I'm maybe speaking off, but the numbers are specific if you read Exodus, but 53 100 pounds of gold, and 500 pounds of bronze and things like that. And so the tabernacle was built. So now I'm at chapter 40, where it says, Moses is now ready to celebrate. Yes, a cheerful giver is always pleasing to God. He wants you to, it's like when I tell my son, I say, okay, you got your money. How much are we taking to church today? How much are you going to take? He had a 20, and I think he had a 5. And he was like, I'm going to give the 20. I said, what? Okay. And that's where I messed up. I shouldn't have said what, because then that made him think, whoa, maybe I'm giving too much. He said, I'm going to get a 5. I say, give what you want, because God likes a cheerful giver. If you don't want to get a 20, don't even worry about it. God ain't worried about it. Go ahead and give what's in your heart to give, but it's been interesting. And I had to pray for the patience. And that's one thing that I think a lot of us are missing in life is patience. When I watched those Kendra G videos, I remember there was a point where, these women, they just follow suit, and they say everything that the last person said, right? Now everybody's on the 100K kick or whatever and whatever. But if somebody says one thing, then they all follow suit for like a couple weeks or whatever. And I don't watch it as much as I used to. I'll just watch the ones where it's titled Brace Yourself. I used to watch her on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. And I don't know if she still goes on Facebook or Instagram. I don't get on Instagram too much anymore. So I don't watch her on there, but I'll watch the clips, or I'll watch people reviewing it sometimes. I've even gotten away from that. But I'll watch the ones now that says Brace Yourself. But what I used to notice, and I did a video about this, was that a lot of the women, when Kendra would ask them, what are your 3 flaws? Patience was one of them. Patience was one. So I would always try to imagine a woman talking about patience as far as her relationship is concerned. And I'm like, so are you saying that, like, if your man doesn't take out the trash, then you're just going to do it yourself? Or you nag him until he does it? Like, what does that lack of patience in an intimate relationship looks like, And I remember one time I was at the grocery store, and there was this family, right? This was a white family. And the husband wanted a specific cereal. And do you know the wife yelled at him and was like, I told you can't get that. And he just looked, and he put it back. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I thought she was talking to one of her children. The look of like embarrassment and shame and frustration from this husband, and the way this woman talked to her husband was like, wow. So I don't know if that's what they mean when they say they have a lack of patience in the relationship. But then I thought about me and my son, and how I don't have patience with him on some things. I have learned later in years that patience is a way of life. Hashtag stay single, fellas. Yeah, because I was like, yo, is that worth it? Like, and mind you, he was probably the one paying for all the food. You know what I'm saying? Because we was on base, and I know she wasn't active duty one, the way she was looking sloppy and all kind of, and I'm like, yo. Buddy, you got to deal with that. Gary says that's why some people need to fast to gain patience and discipline. Absolutely. And you guys know this is the time of Ramadan. This is the time of Lent. People are giving up things. And I think it's very important to fast from certain things. A lot of people overlook fasting, but fasting really is. I remember I fasted a couple times. And, the Bible says, never let your left hand know what the right hand is doing. And a lot of people make the mistake of letting everybody know that they're fasting. And I think that that is something that should be kept to yourself. I believe that God will bless you more when you do it, for him and not for praise from others, But when I did fast a couple of times, you can't just fast and that's it. You have to pray during that, because you're going to need the strength to not do whatever it is that you're fasting from, right? whether it be food, whether it be TV, social media, cussing. I remember my granny used to fast during Lent, because my granny was Catholic for 30 something years before she came over to the non-denominational side. But she, I remember when she gave up Diet Pepsis for Lent. That was her thing. And my granny loved her. After every meal, she had to have her a Diet Pepsi, especially while she watching her stories, child. But she would give up Diet Pepsi. So, yes, fasting is good. And yeah, in order to be able to live in those fruits of the spirits, we have to ask for help. We can't do it alone. I think that's the premise, is in order to have patience, we really can't do a lot of this stuff on our own. We have to seek guidance and strength from the Most High. And sometimes it's every day you have to. I've learned now to go to the grocery store, whether it be Walmart, Food Lion, wherever, and just revel in the moment of waiting while that cashier is taking their slow behind time. And just enjoy the solitude of not having to do anything. Just wait and just chill. I'm no longer my heart fluttering and I'm mad and want to cuss somebody out. And now I failed the test when I went to that dang on comedy show and all the other lines are moving, and the line that I decided to get in to get my snacks, because I needed me a Pepsi and a Sprite so that I could laugh at Mike Epps telling the same jokes that he told on his dang on Netflix special. Ain't that about a blip? Oh, I was hot, boy. And he was the last and final act. So anyways, I'm standing in line. I failed the test this time. And I said, what on earth is going on? The guy in front of me, he looked Puerto Rican. He was like, what's going on? Why the line going? So I was like, I don't know. So I'm looking at. By the time I get up there, you know what it was? The lady wanted to have a conversation with everybody and their mama. I was like, lady, you know the show is actually going on. They done already started. You can hear the comedians, you can hear people laughing, and we in line, and you trying to get to know us. So I make the mistake of wearing these, and she's like, oh my gosh, your glasses are so cute. Where did you get them? Da, 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 da. She was so nice. I had to tell her, but I was still mad. Because, lady, I had been in line for like 30 minutes to get a pretzel. I don't know who I done missed. But by the time I got there, thank goodness, Tony Robbins came on. Then Chico Bean came on, and he was funny. And then, who came on after that? A new guy that just happened to be on my feed. And then he probably got on my feed because I bought my tickets and he was going to be there. Dang it, what's his name? Light-skinned short dude. Funny as heck. He came on. So I got to see everybody. DC Young Fly came on next, and he was, oh my God. DC Young Fly, that boy can sing. Oh, that he got a voice like an angel. And now I understand why he is the way that he is, because he grew up in the church. He said his father is a pastor. And I said, this makes sense. Why he had that strength on him when his child's mother died. That boy is covered. I said, there's something special about him to be able to go through that and still have this stoicism of a soldier of God. But anyways, he was I laughed my tail off with him. He should have been the final act. By the time Mike Epps came on, that fool, he was doing good for about 7-8 minutes. Talking mess to this guy in the front, roasting the crowd a little bit. And then he had the nerve to pull out a joke that he said in his Netflix. I said, I know. I said, where are my keys at? It's time. I got to beat the crowd getting out anyway. Let me get my... I was mad. You leaving? Yeah. Because this some bull. And I got to beat the crowd. But anyways, I don't even know. Oh, so I failed the patience test. Because me and the guy in front of me ended up walking. He said, man, I'm missing the show. Let me just go ahead and forget the snacks. So I failed my patience test. But in order to exercise the fruits of the spirits, like patience, long suffering, all that good stuff. You really have to rely on God. That's the whole point. If you want patience in your life, you got to ask God for it. And you got to mean it. You got to really want that thing. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things I don't have patience for, but it's really in the way that you handle it. You know that saying that says life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it? That's where you get the opportunity to exercise your patience, how you respond to things, you know? So that's something I'm working on for sure. Cam says, I think I have failed with Lent goal, but I would try again. Go ahead and try again. Keep trying. Just because you already messed up and failed in that one thing, that's okay. God knows you're human and he knows your heart. He knows if you're really about that life. And he gonna give you the strength if that's what you really need. So yeah, just try again. Yeah. Go ahead and try again. Go ahead and stop cussing again. Creaker says, I didn't understand the purpose of fasting until I became an adult. Absolutely. There's so many benefits to fasting. Because when you let go of something, you have to substitute it with something else, right? And if you are fasting for a spiritual reason, that's your opportunity to replace that time with whatever it is you're doing to communicate with the Most High. That's all that is. Use him. Use him. He's always here. He's waiting on us. God's always been here. He's waiting on us to come to him. It says to seek and you shall find. Seek him. There's so many people I know be going through stuff and not one time do they say, I've prayed about this. Have you prayed about it? Have you asked God to help you? That's the key. But a lot of people go through life and all kind of issues thinking they can solve it. And a lot of things we can do on our own because God gave us that ability. Because remember, we're made in his likeness. So we got strength. Right? We got God-given strength. But oftentimes, God wants us to come to him because we're so used to going to this person and that person and seeking there and not have enough faith of the God within us, what he's already put in us, that gut, that intuition, that discernment. We too busy asking this person, too busy watching this, listening to that person who don't know what the hell they talking about, than to seek guidance from him. CDT says patience can save your life. I can tell you a story about how if it wasn't, I could tell you a story about how if it wasn't being patient, I probably wouldn't be here. There you go. Y'all know my story about them heifers that was behind me honking and I wanted to get at them. That heifer rolled that window down. I said, oh, them the eyes of somebody who ain't got nothing to lose. And I got a lot to lose. So I said, Lord, I rolled my window right back up and I let them pass me. I couldn't yell what I wanted to yell. But yeah, if you don't have patience could, like he said, could cost you your life. So many people on the job die from freak accidents. You know why? Because they didn't have patience. They took the shortcut and harmed themselves, lost fingers and all kind of stuff because they didn't take the time to read the manual. In the military and in certain industries, you have these books, these TOs, these training operation TOPs that tell you, and in the medical, we have standard operating procedures and things you have to follow word by word, line by line. You take this screw, you take this nut, you take this bolt, you take this equipment to do this. And they have to do it one by one. You have to read the TO and do it. Read the TO and do it, right? If you skip a step because you've been doing it for 5 years and you think you know, next thing you know, a jet in the air and fell down, all because you thought you remembered because you've been doing it for 5-10 years. But we all get complacent. We're human, right? So patience is the key. Patience will save your life. 18, Go Cree to me, I was about 28 when I started doing the Daniel fast. Oh, I've heard of the Daniel fast. I have a friend that does the Daniel fast every year, where certain breads that she will eat and certain things that she will not eat. She said, I do the Daniel fast beginning of each year. That's awesome. The church only teaches us to give money for, see, don't get, A-team, don't get me started on that. Please don't do it. What up, Chelsea? Chelsea Lynn in the building. Exactly, Cam, because an unhealed soul should not bring another soul into their mess. That's right. When you're going through things, you know, there's so many of us that, you know, none of us are perfect. We all got flaws. We all got things that we're working on, right? So, you know, we can't hibernate and steer clear from everybody, right? But you got to know yourself enough. You have to have enough self-reflection to know when not to enter into certain relationships, because you got so much healing to do. And I'm gonna tell you what, I haven't been with anybody physically or intimately in over 4 years, because that last relationship really did a thing on me. So much so to where I was like, ugh, boys, yuck. Right? So if I got into a relationship with that mindset, how am I going to treat that person? Right? So you're onto something, A-team. You can't bring somebody into your mess when you know you got stuff you got to work on. You know, I just think there's levels to this, you know? And I think that, you know, at some point we got to test it out. Like, okay, am I healed? Let me see. Let me try getting to know a little, you know what I'm saying? And then that's when you realize, oh, I'm still triggered by X, Y, and Z. And that person ain't done nothing but just being them, you know? So, I think that's a great point. It's a great point. My favorite snow bunny. Cam says, very true. We have to have ourselves on point first. Yeah. And we're not going to be perfect going into no relationships, right? I got a lot of things I still got to work on, right? But that doesn't mean I don't deserve love, right? I still want love, you know? Why do I always get caught calling on God in public and folks ear hustling? There's always somebody ear hustling in them bushes. Monitoring spirits is what I call them. I'm sure there's a couple people in here that don't even F with me no more, but they watching. Hey, how you doing? God bless you, baby. Chelsea Lynn says, I'm afraid to ask God for certain things, and patience is one because of what happened to Job. Well, first of all, you ain't Job. You ain't Job, you know? Don't ever be afraid to ask God for anything that you desire. And if it's in his will, he'll make it happen, you know? They say God will give you the desires of your heart, and sometimes that answer is no. There's been plenty of things I've prayed for years, never got it. And when I finally got it, I understood why he made me wait. I understood why. Even in the midst of, God will bring it to me. See? That's why you ain't got what you've been asking for, you know? But God is so great. He's given me, oh my God. I started out this life talking about my son. I love my son so much. I'm so grateful for him. Does he get on my nerves? Absolutely. But just to see something that I birthed to grow up, and he's here to me now. Or he might be here. I think he's about here. You know, it's just an amazing thing to see. Thanks, Lady Di. How are you? Love you. Thanks for hiding those messages, Gary. What up, Ty Pro? In the building. We know who his booski is. You are the storehouse. Activate the gifts. Yes, true story. That's right. Patience can save your life. CDT got a story for everything, like an app. Yeah, he do. He do, because CDT has lived a life. You know, when you out there and you didn't experience so many things, you got a story to tell. And I think that's one reason why God puts us through things as well, is so that we can be a testimony to other people. You know, this is what happened to me. Because guess what? Everybody not going to be able to relate, but there's going to be one person that needed to hear what it is that you said. Don't be afraid to give God his glory and his honor for what he's done in your life. Never be afraid. We can't do that. We have to be disciples. God calls us to be disciples of his word. And giving a testimony on how he brought us through things, that could be enough just to bring somebody to Christ. You just never know. CDT says, left man, South Chelsea. I've been in a lot of BS, for real, for real. SKK, she knows some of my stories that I haven't told anybody. Yeah. Go ahead, Cree, and tell us some of the stories CDT done told you behind the scenes. What he done told you, girl? This is why you need to write that book. Yes, write a book. Write it. Y'all notice Killer Cam ain't tell me if he started back writing his book, so I'm going to take that as a no. Just wanted to say what's up. I'll be listening while I drive. All right, safe travels. Safe travels on that road. Ty Pro is a truck driver, so he knows all about having patience. Because when you on that road, you got some idiots that want to cut you off and do all kind of dumb stuff, you know. But he got to have patience on that road. He got to make sure that he, you know, secures his things and does everything that he's supposed to. You know, checks on the thing. Have that patience to make sure everything is running properly before I even get on the road, right? You know, I'm sure he's got a checklist of things he's got. Patience. You got to have patience to go through everything the right way in order to be safe, right? It's key. Them bushwatchers. Yeah. Cam, I do also, because folks are crazy out there. Yeah, they crazy. You just never know what a person is on. You never know what they on, right? So a lot of times we have to tread lightly, especially when you're meeting people one-on-one and in person. You just never know how a person is going to respond. Y'all heard that story about the woman who didn't hold the door, or she held the door for a person. These are two women. And the lady who she held the door for didn't say thank you, right? And so they got into a spat. The woman who held the door ended up shooting the other lady. She either shot her or stabbed her. So you just never know what people own. You just never know. They can watch but not talk crazy. I know that's right, or else you gonna boot them out that chat. CDT says, Mike Check tells me that my story needs to be told. Yeah. Yeah. Tell your story. And the thing is, you're entertaining and funny at the same time. I have a friend that's like that. She'll tell me some of the most horrific stories from when she grew up and her mother. But when she tells it, she be having me dying. I'm like, yo, you gotta write a book, because the way you tell these stories is wild. So, hint, hint. Them stories is too much. Yeah, he gonna be taller than me soon. I told him that. But his father is only like 5'9". But my brother is 6'4". 6'2" or 6'3", I think. And my grandfather on my mom's side was 6'3". So he might be taller. I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping he's tall. People say he's tall for his age, but I don't know. I am writing every day now, Mo. There you go. That's my boy. Get to it. Get to it. Chelsea says, exactly, Mo. That's what I always talk about. It's no coincidence we meet the people we meet going through similar situations we have experiences with. It's all God bringing us together. That's right. That's right. God's timing. God's timing. Yeah. Cheating with Wordle. he was the champ for the last 4 lives, I guess, right? And then Jessica came in with her Googling behind. Was it her, or was it Bougie Barbie? I don't know. Cam says, remember what Toni Morrison said at CDT Beats. Oh, good Lord. Thanks, Demi Smith. Yeah, CDT got great stories. Look at JPD. Thank you. I appreciate you. Oh no, we through? I know I missed your last call on IG. I'm so sorry. I just try not to get on there. It just be too, because soon as you get on there and people see you green, then they want to hit. And I just don't have time. I can't. Like right now, I can't. I just can't. Email me. For my peace, I can't. I'll pop on, I'll pop off. If it's somebody I need to holler at real quick, I'll pop on, I'll look at my messages real quick, and then I get off. But I can't stay on there. I just can't. And I'm starting to lose my voice. CDT, thank you. Couch. But them stories rooted in pain and danger. Yeah, they are. Yeah. But those stories, if they don't trigger you, can really save somebody else's life. I seen a guy called Jason Whitlock, I think, and he was talking about that. Was that Randall guy? The one, the football player, the young one who unalived himself. And the title of his video was something about just because you make it, you don't really make it. And that whole mental health thing is a crisis. I remember listening on the radio a year or two ago, and they were talking about the increase in self-deletions amongst Black men from the ages of like 17 to 24. And I said, whoa. I remember a time where if a Black person passed away, suicide, self-deletion was never a thought. So much so that even when celebrities started doing it that were Black, people would call it conspiracy theory. But I know people personally who have done that, and they were Black. That's just like when that famous DJ or dancer died, and everybody was like, his wife set him up. It don't make no sense. He was in a hole. I said, listen. You never know what a person is going through. Never. And that's not say that just because a person is ruled that we have to overlook other things, like that one young man who was found hung in a tree. We know damn well. And I just don't understand how these families don't come together and tear them little towns apart. We will buy all the ammo in the world, and I'm tearing that city up until we find who is responsible. But these people just, I don't know how they do it. I still don't understand how Zimmerman is still walking around. I really don't. But this is where we rely on our men to be leaders and to take the charge and do what's needed. And I'm not an advocate for street justice. I think we should go by the law and do what's right. But I don't know. Turn the green light off. How do you do that? How you turn the green light off? Do I have to go like to privacy and settings? Yeah, JP. Work both ways, Heffa. You right. You are so right. You're so right. I'm glad you said that. You're right. It works both ways. Absolutely. I can reach out to you. You're absolutely right. Cam says everyone needs God as a compassionate compass Just my humble opinion. That's right. Yeah. You have to, I mean, because, you know, compassion and empathy is something that a lot of us have to work on, you know, especially when it depends on who it is we need to have compassion for, you know. Okay, Greek Creek says, I still don't think Twitch, that's what I was talking about. Twitch didn't do it. Yeah, it seemed like a pretty suspicious thing. There was a lot of different things that I think that was left out. And I think it could be suspicious, but at the same time, I know black men that definitely did that, and I wouldn't necessarily rule that out, is all I'm saying. Because you'd be thinking everything is cool and fine, and next thing you know, people are gone. You know, you just never know what a person, what demons and spirits have occupied their mind, telling them this is the best option. But if you're on this live and you're currently thinking of taking your life, I just want you to know that whatever you're going through is not going to kill you. There are people that would miss you. There are consequences to your actions. And whatever it is, it's not that bad that God can't bring you out of it. It's not that bad that God can't bring you out of it. You have to trust, and you have to believe, and you have to have faith. I have contemplated this very thing myself more than once, so I understand. Made plans and everything. But God said, not my child. And I am a walking testimony today. Right? So, my email is in my description. If you ever want to talk, holla at me. But your source is him. Always has been. He's just waiting on you to go to him. And that's exactly what I did. I said, Lord, listen, I can't do this. Please. And no lie, it had been dark for days. The sun came out. I went outside. I took a long walk. I preoccupied myself. I pivoted my focus. And no lie, within like a couple of days, I felt at least 75% better. Enough to not have that thought in my mind that the earth would be better without me. Because it's not. I have things that I'm obligated to. And the Most High wouldn't be pleased, because that's his job. You're taking away God's job when you do that. It's not up to you. It's really not. What is a recalcitrant? New word. Chelsea says, go to your profile, tap the menu, 3 lines in the top right, select settings, activity, then messages and stories, replies, show activity status, then toggle it off. All right, I just screenshotted that. Thank you. Because I'm like, I get tired as soon as I come on somebody. Hey, where you been? And it's like, you are the last person I want to hear from at this moment. Creeky says, I did a video about Twitch last year. Oh, okay. I'm going to have to go back and watch it. Is his name in the title of the video? Because I want to hear what your theories were on that. Because to me, I was like, just because he got money and a family don't mean nothing. My ex-best friend took herself out the end of 2024. And everybody was saying she seemed fine. I had just seen her. We were talking about this. She made plans with her daughter that when she turned 16, she would be the one to take her to Paris, you know, for her 16th birthday. So you just never know. And her husband found her they had 3 acres of land up against a tree. And she always told me, I can't remember the code to the safe. And I used to think to myself, you know the code to that safe. Why are you fronting like you don't know the code to the safe? You know the code to that safe. And she knew the code to the safe this weekend. And he found her slumped up against a tree with a hole in her head. So, you just never know. You never know. That cough is still lingering. It is a lot better. It's less productive. But my voice is still very raspy. And I don't like it. And I know that me smoking has attributed to that. I also have hypothyroidism, and I think that attributes to it as well. So I think the key is to stop smoking, number one. And whatever I caught was something crazy. I caught it twice in 2 weeks, and I thought I was gonna die. And that's made it a lot worse too. My voice wasn't this bad before, and I didn't have this lingering cough either. So yeah, if it doesn't get better, I'll go in and get a chest x-ray, as one of my friends who's a nurse keeps telling me. Yep, his name, okay, pick is in the thumbnail. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. Chelsea says, I thought the wife pushed him to it. Who knows what was going on in them? Exactly, and we never know. You never know. That's why it's not good to idolize anybody. I don't care how much money they got. I don't care how flossy and flashy they are online, making you think they all this and life is great because they get to sail and Saint-Tropez and all that. I would never want. When I was little, I used to be like, oh, they're so cool. I wish I was them. You know, and I would copy certain things about people, you know, their handwriting. I remember I had this, I guess, girl crush on Ramona. What was Ramona's last name? I can't remember, but Ramona was so pretty. And she wasn't like one of the most popular, but she was like semi-popular, right? And she was this Hispanic chick, and I love the way she wrote, and I love her style of dress, and I would try to get the same shoes as Ramona, and, you know, I just wished I was Ramona. You know, but the thing is, you never know what a person is going through. Like, there was this other girl in my class who was just really cool and really mysterious, and come to find out, you know, she was being abused by her stepfather. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't ever look at somebody else's life and wish you want that life. Deal with the life you got and do what you can to make it better. Don't envy these people, especially these fools we see online. Ain't no telling what the heck was going on in Twitch's marriage. You know, they look happy together, dancing and singing and all that stuff they used to do online, I guess. But it's a story. You can literally come online and pretend to be whoever you want. There's a lot of pump fakers on this app. A lot of them. I don't think half the bitches on here that claim they married is married, if you ask me, because of the way they move. I'm like, yo, either your husband is a simp, or you really ain't married. Because the things you be doing, I'll be damned if I let my wife do that. So I don't think a lot of people on here is who they really say they is. But let me hush. I thought the wife pushed him to do it. Who knows, yeah, what's going on. Sorry to hear that, Mo. Thank you. It's getting better, though. I feel better. You got to clear that throat, gal. Yeah, a friend of mine sent me these herbal teas, which help tremendously. So if you guys go online, you can order them. She got them off of Amazon. I can't remember the name, but one of them is called Throat Coat. Throat Coat. And I heard somebody else say, I'm going to drink my throat coat. And I just laughed my tail off, because I'm like, that don't sound right. That sound like something little nasty, you know what I'm saying? Throat coat, but she sent me, it was a respiratory one. There was a throat coat one. And then there was another one. And I threw all 3 of them tea bags, and I made me a big old mason jar full of tea, and I put all 3 in there, added my honey and my lemon, stirred it up. Didn't taste too great, but I drank all of it. And no lie, the next day I probably felt about 40% better. But I think if you go online and you type throat coat, it'll show you that brand of tea, because that's the title of that one tea. Chelsea says, you got people who are married on YouTube flying out to see other YouTube creators who are single. That's sus. AF. AF. You ain't got to tell me, Chelsea. You ain't got to tell me. Sus as what? I'm like, You mean to tell me your husband go with you? Flying to get that D? What? Because you ain't creating it when you get there. I'm just saying. You know what? Teabag. Pause on that. Pause on that. Yeah. Boy, they be on here pump faking like these dudes giving these relationship advice. My wife, I don't even be thinking they married, y'all. Like, can't be. And your wife is okay with you talking like this? But it sells. It sells, right? But I ain't trying to get on that. Patience, folks, is the key. Chelsea Lynn gonna get me in trouble. I don't need nobody emailing me or hitting me on no apps talking about who was you talking about. Nope. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. Either your husband don't love you or something going on. Yeah. Or you just don't have one. You know, I think a lot of these people feel like they have to say that they are so that they can have the credibility to give the advice that they give. But, you know, everything that's done in the dark will come to light. Everything that's done in the dark comes to, it always does, you know, and I just sit back and wait, you know, and things are revealed. Things will be revealed, you know. So the red app is something else. It is. I didn't even know there was an emoji for YouTube. What? I didn't know there was a YouTube. 18 be showing me all kind of stuff. 18 be putting all kind of emojis. I'd be like, yo, how did you do that? I had no idea. I'm slow. So anyways, y'all, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all being here. JP, thank you for the super chat. That was so sweet. I appreciate you. It's not necessary, y'all. It's not necessary. But it does mean a lot when you do. And so, great live, Mo. Hey, Killer Cam. What is your real name? Is it Cameron? Is it Cameron? What is it? Can I know your first name? Can I? Close. Cameron. Camelot. GB says, appreciate your perspective. Continue to be a blessing. You too, Gary Brown. Y'all better check out Gary Brown's channel. He be dropping them gems. He don't ever come on the camera, which I think if he came on camera, more people would engage and come to the live. And I know he doesn't do it for that. He does it for whoever gets the message. But can we see your face every once in a while? But yeah, he's a blessing too. He breaks stuff down and he could just go. Like he get on one topic and he don't stop talking from beginning to end. I'm like, how does he just flow like that? He just be flowing. But it's a lot and he uses references, and that's what I like about his channel, because he's not just talking, he's teaching. He's giving evidence. Definitions and terms and phrases and text for context. You know what I'm saying? So I like that. Thank you, Chelsea Lynn. Oh, it's not Kendrick? Dang it. CDT said he thought he knew, but face cam is overrated. Face cam is overrated? Yeah. It could be. I just think it there's a level of intimacy there when you can see a person's face. You know, I like to be able to put a face to what it is they're saying, but it does also make you listen more because you don't have that face to look at. You're not distracted by what a person looks like. You're getting the message through auditory only. So you can use your imagination when a person is telling a story or when they are reiterating whatever it is that they want to talk about. So yeah, some people can get away with it, you know. I envy those that can draw a big crowd and not show their face. You know, that's a really good skill to have. Chelsea says Mo is nosy. She want to see the face, but I am too. I ain't mad at exactly, Chelsea Lynn. You know me and you right here. We right here. That's right. Yeah. We want to see what you looking like. We want to see what you working with. Okay. So, Cam, are you starting a new channel? And why aren't you telling me your name? CDT says, I'm just talking. I show my face from time to time. Like, where's Waldo? You do. You be in the corner sometimes. Yeah. But I can't see what you really look like. But when I got to see your members only video, I was like, that's what CDT look like. That's my boy. Okay. Yep. Closer. So that was cool. I was like, okay, now I know what he looks like. Mo telling you she like my face. I do. Yeah, buddy. You started a channel and it said you was going to come back and teach us some stuff, and you never did either. But hopefully when you get settled in your next destination, and you have extra time, you can come on and educate us on some things. Because JP is very knowledgeable on a lot of things. And I think he can drop some wisdom on people that want to get into certain fields. So stay on the lookout for that. I'm still subscribed. And Cam, what is your channel that we can subscribe to? Because when I click on your name, it gives me nothing. So is this going to be a channel? Or yeah, he does give great advice. He does, for sure. Yeah, for sure. He's like a voice of reason, honestly. So yeah. I was hoping Reaper would come on here today so that I could give him his props about something, but I'll catch him next time. But you guys, I gotta go. My son gets off the bus pretty soon. I don't want him waiting on me. And I gotta pee. And I didn't have my do not disturb on, so I guess I should take it off just in case he has an emergency, right? But I've been out here for 78 minutes. And with that, I bid you a farewell. You guys have a great, blessed day. Remember, patience is the key. It can save your life. Patience is one of the fruits of the spirits. But in order to have patience, you have to have love in your heart first. You got to have love. And it all starts with the love of the Most High. And then you also have to self-love. So if you love God and you love yourself, it's a little easier to love everybody else. Don't tolerate no BS. But if you have love at the root, the way you deliver whatever it is that you got to do is going to be in love and with patience and kindness. You understand? So with that, I will go, and you guys have a great day. Later. Peace and love to you all too. Love ya. Later.